a world where the number of movies available is great, but many are so bad, you'll learn a new definition of hate. One man sifts and reviews through the movie sludge. One man will be the movie cop, jury, and judge. He goes by many names, but you know him by MoviesMerica.
Hey, all you beautiful movie-loving people out there, live from a red carpet somewhere, surrounded by celebrities. This is the MoviesMerica podcast with Van Ebert, where movie reviews meet cold brews. Van will review your favorite and maybe not so favorite movies while enjoying some ice-cold beers and saying cheers. Now let's head into the theater and join our illustrious movie reviewer du jour, who's no doubt got the beer ready to pour, Van Ebert. Hey everybody. Welcome to MoviesMerica podcast here. Thanks again for joining moi here as today we go over the latest movie that I will be going over here. And, it's a tough job, but somebody's got to do it, reviewing these movies and drinking beers here. So today we will be reviewing Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
Throughout my life, the Ten Rings gave our family power. If you want them to be yours one day, you have to show me you are strong enough to carry them.
You are a product of all who came before you. The legacy of your family. You are your mother. And whether you like it or not, you are also your father.
I told my men they wouldn't be able to kill you if they tried. Glad I was right.
Ooh, Shang-Chi. Movie sounds good, don't it? Doesn't it? Yeah. Hey, just wanted to ask you to subscribe to this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, all the usual suspects here. And you know what? If you're so inclined, if you just feeling like, I want to do something good for my fellow man. I'm feeling charitable, feeling generous. And forget, taking used clothes to Goodwill. Forget that. My generosity this week will be expressed by giving Van a 5-star rating for his MoviesMerica podcast on my podcast player of choice. If you're so inclined, do that. Yeah, forget Goodwill. They're lost. Anyway, and also, this podcast will also be available on MoviesMerica.com as well. And I'm also under MoviesMerica on Twitter and Instagram. If you want to share anything with me or check out my posts or just tell me how terrific or terrible I am. If you want to put on there, how you feel about my latest review, your thoughts on the movies that I'm reviewing, by all means here, what you think of the beers that I'm trying. And also, on that beer tip there, I'm going to be, drinking beers on my podcast, as any of you that have listened to my podcast in the past know, that, I like to get the reviews and the brews both going, and I'll be drinking a different beer brew in every episode. So it's just the perfect mix. And so this week, the lucky beer, like the lucky contestants on the Miss America pageants or whatever, on Bachelor or Bachelorette. I don't watch any of those shows, but today I am handling the Final Rose. That much I know about those shows. I know that much. They hand out a Final Rose or some stuff like that, whatever. The Final Rose that I will be handing out to the beer this week will be Stone IPA. So I will be sipping on, not some scissorp, Nope. No, not that 3-6 Mafia. I'll be sipping on some Stone IPA. I'll be romancing the Stone IPA today, as they say. All right, hey, let's, enough of that. I think I'm a stand-up comedian, and I'm not, apparently. All right, let's get right into Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Say that 10 times real fast, right? So, and this movie, you know what, it's pretty successful here. I think this is the first movie that has broken the COVID curse, right? Everyone is scared out of their mind. Not everyone. A lot of people are scared out of their minds to go to the movie theater there. But this is the first movie. I'll leave it to Marvel. I mean, they still got that magic formula. A lot of people went out and saw Shang-Chi, and this movie made $75.5 million in 3 days, and only $90 million over the 4-day Labor Day weekend. So, there was a lot of anticipation for that. But that's how these Marvel movies work. Is just because the Marvel brand and the Marvel Studios, Marvel Cinematic Universe, a lot of people look forward to the Marvel movies. And so, what's this about? Well, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings it's about this guy named Sean. And he just seemingly lives a mediocre and pointless life with his friend Katy. And, however, on this one fateful day, he's on a bus ride with his friend Katy. And he is forced to show off his kick-ass martial arts skills. Because, he's... we now realize that, he's more than just a guy who's just a valet and does karaoke all night long, with his best friend Katy. She's also a valet where they work. We learned that, this guy, he's a well-trained badass. And also on top of that, as if that wasn't enough, it turns out his father, he's a criminal mastermind, and at that, a immortal criminal mastermind. And he is also the one that trained him to be this kick-ass fighter. And so we find that out about him early on in the movie, about Sean, or as he transitions to later on in this movie, as Shang-Chi. So, one thing about the comics that this is based on here is, now, Shang-Chi in the comics, he was just more of a globe-trotting James Bond-like character there. I mean, it was pretty much he was like a spy thriller hero. Now, in this movie, he is definitely not that, at least not yet. I mean, obviously, this is not going to be the last Shang-Chi movie. But, in the beginning, he's got, like I mentioned, he's got like this unremarkable lifestyle, sort of like if, James Bond, left MI6 and decided just to be a bartender, making the best martinis, of course, shaken, not stirred, all that. And the beginning of this movie, I mean, that's one thing about, Marvel movies that kind of drive me crazy is, and in the beginning of this movie is no different. For the most part, I like Marvel movies, no doubt. I mean, the very first Iron Man, a couple of Thor movies, all the typical. Obviously, the Avengers movies I love, but one complaint about that I have so far is like they're just soaked in CGI, and I know that's the nature of comic book movies. Are going to have CGI in them, but I would just like to see like more practical effects. And the beginning of this movie is just a CGI soaked, just chronological summarizing of how Shang-Chi's dad came in possession of the Ten Rings. Because when you hear the Ten Rings in the title of the movie, that's what they're talking about is Shang-Chi's dad, Wenwu, has possession of these powerful 10 rings. And now, of course, the beginning of this movie, the CGI soak fest here, it doesn't tell you where those rings came from. Like you're told at the beginning of Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring, where the Ring of Power comes from. You get told in the beginning of the movie where the Ring of Power comes from. Now, this part of Shang-Chi, it does remind me way too much of that early Fellowship of the Rings scene where, they just show Sauron coming down and fighting man and, over the rings. And it's just, this big CGI battle scene. But at least, back when Fellowship of the Ring, came out, it's, it was kind of new, just the whole mass battle scene, created by CGI. But it's just, it's just also a reminder of Marvel's gluttonous over reliance on CGI. And it just, it made it this way for me just because this way for me just because it's just the 25th movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And I guess just the orgy of CGI is getting stale to me, at this point in the 25th movie. So, as I'm saying, like they always say, if it's not new, it's through, right? Just got to ease it up on the CGI and throw some more practical effects in there. And I just like to see Marvel actually take a risk and just try to, make more realistic, scenes, more practical effects. But, it's not, this movie's not all bad. I'm not trying to crap all over this movie at all. And, a refreshing transition from Shang-Chi's, dad getting the 10 rings, from the Eye of Sauron, is, the let's meet our protagonist segment that comes after that beginning scene of this movie. And Shang-Chi, or Sean, as he's first introduced to us, is, like I, have said before, he's just, shown just living a underachieving life in San Francisco, just as a valet, working the job by day and doing shots and karaoke by night, rinse and repeat. And he's just doing this all with his friend Katy, played by actress / rapper Awkwafina. And, these scenes are invigorating. And it's just a comic look at two people who clearly, care for one another and just seem perfectly happy just spinning their wheels, parking cars, and hitting bars. I mean, that's just their existence there, and looks like they're having a good time with it. And as we find out, that's what, Sean, or Shang-Chi, was looking for. He was escaping his father, and, I won't go too much into that. I'm not trying to spoil the movie, and, because that's the thing about my reviews is they're spoiler free. And you know what? Hey, speaking of, nothing spoiled or anything like that, I'm just going to take another tug here off my Stone IPA and get a little wet my whistle here. All right. Moving on. So later on in this movie, as you would expect, when Shang-Chi, he has to become Shang-Chi again, because some baddies from Daddy come looking for him. And, the fight choreography is phenomenal in this movie. A lot of action movies, just so many action movies, nowadays just come out with just fight scene after fight scene. We're just inundated, with that. I mean, we live in an era, where you have so many entertainment choices, so many channels, so many streaming services that come out with their own original content. Obviously movies, studios coming out with movies. So there's just so many action, options out there. And so, there's just so many more fight scenes, martial arts, laden fight scenes here. I mean, this isn't back in the 70s, right? Where you had ABC, CBS, NBC, and PBS wasn't coming out with no action movies, right? And then you just had your movies at the theater, and your entertainment choices were much fewer and far between, including action movies. But nowadays, I mean, you're just it's hard to keep up with all the action entertainment options there, and so all the fight scenes kind of blend together. But I gotta say that the fight choreography in this movie is phenomenal. The only thing that ruins it, though, is just the tired Marvelisms that dot this, this first fight scene that we see where Shang-Chi is attacked on this city bus there in San Francisco here that him and Katy are on. And it's just got some annoying Marvelisms that dot this scene. It's just these characteristics of, every Marvel movies that have just been done to death, and they're just kind of played out at this point. Like, the first 15 movies, it was kind of funny, but now you just expect to see him, and it's getting kind of stale here. But, one such Marvelism is, you'll have some dorky character just quipping, like a dorky quipping bystander, just in the background, just dropped in to provide some quote unquote comic relief, for the tension in the scene. And I'm sitting here, I'm thinking, what tension? This is a Marvel movie, This is, like I said, it's a Marvel movie. It's not Eyes Wide Shut, okay? You of course have, the over-the-top, meaningless CGI mayhem in this scene. So, what could have been just a great, scene where you are seeing Shang-Chi get revealed for who he really is, and it could have been captivating, and it could have been more of a heavy, dramatic, spectacular scene. Kevin Feige and Marvel have to throw in their Marvelisms in here, and it just gets kind of old. But other than that, the scene is cool. The fight choreography, does hold up, and it's looking good. Other than that.
I should also probably mention that my name's not technically Sean.
What is it?
It's Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi.
No, Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi.
Shang.
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 Shan.
S-H-A-N-G. Shang.
Shang?
Yeah.
You changed your name from Shang to Sean?
Yeah, I don't...
I wonder how your father found you.
I was 15 years old, all right?
What is your name change logic? You going into hiding and your name is Michael, you go on change it to Michael.
That's not what happened.
It's like, hi, my name's Gina, I'm gonna go into hiding, my new name's Gina.
So, the movie moves on with Shang-Chi and Katy traveling to Macau in China after the bus scene. And the rest of the movie is Shang-Chi, his sister, and Katy getting into various action set pieces to fight his dad and trying to save the insert thing that needs to be saved here. And his sister, where she comes into play is when Katy and Shang-Chi, they meet her in Macau because they are informed, and I won't say how they're informed in the movie, that his sister is in Macau. So they meet her there, so she comes into play into the movie. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, you'll find it's like a lot of other Marvel movies where they bring in characters from other MCU movies. You've got in Thor Ragnarok, they had Bruce Banner, Mark Ruffalo coming in there to, do his Bruce Banner Hulk thing. We have other characters like, Black Panther. They, had Agent Coulson join in that movie. Just other situations, other movies like that where they have other characters from other MCU movies in that. And one of the characters that they have in this movie here is actually one that got the fanboys that have to get money from their mom to go to Comic-Con super sucking off their inhalers a few years back. This character got them doing that. And right when the scene starts, you'll know who that is. That is faux show.
I served time in federal prison, which turned out to be the best thing for me. I got clean. I rediscovered my passion.
Then my dad broke you out.
Exactly.
To kill you.
Exactly. But just as his men were tying me up for my execution, I launched into a performance of my Macbeth. Whence is that knocking? Wait, Duncan with thy knocking. I wish thou couldst. They couldn't get enough of it. I've been doing weekly gigs for the lads ever since.
So you're like his jester?
I can give you a quick preview if you like. Nuncle, nuncle, nuncle.
Thank you, Trevor. I think we're okay. Right now, we really just need to find a way to...
What the hell?
What the front? Oh!
What is that?
What is that? Oh! Who?
What's what?
That! What is that?
You can see Morris.
Morris?
Oh, Morris! They can see you. You're real. All this time I thought I was hallucinating him. Oh, this is such fab news.
Where's his face?
He's a bit sensitive about that.
Now, for the character Shang-Chi, Marvel, they didn't go out there and get an established Asian actor. They didn't go out there and get Henry Golding or Jet Li. Jet Li's probably too old to play the part anyway. But they got a Simu Liu, who is he's a charismatic enough actor, as Shang-Chi. I wasn't wowed by him, though, by any means. I will tell you, there's not going to be many characters in this movie you're going to remember. But the character that I will ultimately remember, actually, from this movie is Wenwu. That is Shang-Chi's father, and he's actually played by the legendary Tony Leung. And most American audiences, especially ones that, just go see movies on a casual basis and really aren't cinemaphiles or anything like that, aren't really going to know who Tony Leung is, but he is a legend in China. And he, Marvel did a great job at getting a great Chinese legendary actor in Tony Leung to play Wenwu. And I remember, Leung from way back in 1992. John Woo, who's known to American audiences, for Hard Target and Broken Arrow, Face Off, those movies, Mission Impossible 2. He, before he came to Hollywood, started making his, Hollywood cinematic features, starting with Hard Target with Jean-Claude Van Damme. John Woo was the toast of Chinese movie making, and John Woo made this movie called Hard Boiled in 1992. He also later made the movie Infernal Affairs, John Woo didn't make Infernal Affairs, but Tony Leung was in Infernal Affairs. Infernal Affairs is what the movie The Departed from Martin Scorsese is based off of. But Tony Leung was in Infernal Affairs and also in John Woo's Hard Boiled. And it's just great to see him in this movie here. And he just brings to the character Wenwu, he just brings this soft-spoken menace to the role. You listen to him, and he's not overtly loud in your face, screaming at you, anything like that, because he knows he's this immortal, legendary badass, and he doesn't have to raise his voice. He doesn't have to scream at you to intimidate you. He is just menacing and volatile in his own way. And he is, he's this, like I said, he's immortal, and he's lived for thousands of years, and he'll up and kick your ass, or he'll quote you ancient philosophy. You just never know what's going to happen from minute to minute with this character Wenwu, played by Tony Leung. But like I said, you're not really going to remember many characters from this movie, and that's the nature of Marvel movies. Marvel movies aren't going for characters that you're going to really remember. I mean, who could forget, like Anton Chigurh from Old Country for Old Men? Javier Bardem's character for that movie. That's an unforgettable character, right? Hannibal Lecter, Anthony Hopkins in Silence of the Lambs. Unforgettable character. You don't get those kind of characters very often from Marvel movies. Some notable exceptions would be, of course, Tony Stark, played by the legendary Robert Downey Jr., stuff like that. Now, would I recommend going to see Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings? Sure. It is entertaining. And if your ultimate goal is to just shut your brain off for a couple hours and just see some spectacle, this movie will meet your spectacle watching needs. Like I said, it's not particularly memorable. People don't go to Marvel movies, looking to get this deep mental implant into their brain. It's no one's ever said like, "Oh man, I woke up in the middle of the night last night. I couldn't get Thor: The Dark World out of my head. It's just stuck with me. It's like this. It's stuck in my brain like a tick. I just couldn't get Iron Man 3 out of my head." That's not what Marvel movies are all about. And unfortunately, this movie, it's just got that same played out, drab, gray Marvel movie look we've seen for 25 MCU movies now. And you'll know what I'm talking about as you're listening to this. You'll probably be like, oh, yeah, I know that look. I know that look. You know, if you fire up Disney Plus and you start watching all the Marvel movies back to back, you may be entertained, or you will be entertained most likely, but you'll notice how they all look the same. Just the same colorization, the same color grading. Gotta change that up, Kevin Feige and Marvel. I mean, take a chance. Switch it up. Like I said before, but if it's not new, it's through, you know? Now, the fact that it looks gray, I mean, I have to say that is surprising because for the cinematography, they hired Bill Pope, who is no slouch when it comes to cinematography. This isn't just some snot-nosed kid who just got out of USC film school. I mean, this is Bill Pope. He did The Matrix. He did Baby Driver. He did a number of classic movies. I mean, you can't forget the cinematography in The Matrix. You got Neo and Morpheus and Trinity, you know, rolling around on the Nebuchadnezzar and fighting, you know, the agents. And that movie had legendary, groundbreaking cinematography. And what he does in Shang-Chi, come on, Bill Pope, come on. I know I'm sure the paycheck was phenomenal. I'm sure, but that's why he did it. Next time, for this movie, if I have any recommendations, next time let's get, you know, more serious fight scenes in the sequel, in the inevitable sequel to this movie, and, you know, make it more of that and less Marvel/Disney World amusement park ride is what I'd say. And you may be saying, man, Van, you were just slamming on Shang-Chi, The Legend of the Ten Rings, and you know, it's a good movie, but yet it's a bad movie. And it's a good movie in that it's refreshing, that it's a new character, and I never have a problem with new characters. I like the concept of Shang-Chi. I like his father, Wenwu, the villain, and it does have some good comedic moments in it. It's just a lot of it is just the same rehashed Marvelisms. And I think that not just this movie, but all Marvel movies just need just a kick in the ass. It just needs like a Pulp Fiction shot to Uma Thurman's heart from, you know, just some atropine right in the heart, you know, just to shock Marvel into doing something different. And they're probably not, because they're swimming in cash right now. I mean, Kevin Feige and Marvel, they probably have a Scrooge McDuck like vault with the gold coins, and they're swimming around in the gold coins. Answer me this though: how did Scrooge McDuck never break his neck? He always saw him like dive into his vault full of gold coins like on DuckTales, and he never once broke his neck. Oh, he's just a cartoon character. Okay, doesn't matter. Anyway, so that is my review of Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. And let me know what you think of my review here on Twitter and Instagram. I'm on there as MoviesMerica. You can let me know on that. Listen to this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher. And you know what? Until next time, have a great one. Go see movies. Peace.
Hey guys, don't leave the video quite yet. Okay, I've got the Popo. They're coming after me, and I don't have much time to tell you, but you need to like and subscribe this video right here, down below. It's right down there. It's just waiting. It's waiting for you down there, okay? And make sure you watch these videos over here too. You'll be doing me a big favor. I'll be in handcuffs pretty soon. All right, thanks for watching.